Saints Texans preview with Pro Football Focus. I am excited. I am jazzed up for this game. I think the Saints, well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it this whole video, but I think my fingers are going crazy right now. I think the Saints are about to turn a corner. I really do. I think the Saints, there's so much pressure off of them. I think they're finally rolling. I think there was some bad luck involved. I think Houston is overrated, specifically CJ Stroud. I think is overrated. And I think all of that's going to be proven in this game right here on the road in Houston. Let's get into it with the Pro Football Focus boys and see what they got to say.
The New Orleans Saints at the Houston Texans. Saints are favored.
Look at this. Look at these guys. Last video, we saw the young Razor Ramon on the left was in his basement. I said, I might have made a wisecrack or two, and they get a whole studio. They get a whole studio apartment. Unbelievable stuff. Really nice here from the Pro Football Focus guys. I'm glad to see Chris Collinsworth is putting some money into the studio here.
By 1.5 in Houston. Saints coming off of a 34-0 shutout of the New England Patriots. Texans lost by 2 against the Falcons last week. The Texans, I think they were the game of the week last week as well. Their Falcons game. So people are liking the Texans.
I think people like the idea of good rookie quarterbacks. Talk about this all the time. No one wants a rookie quarterback to succeed more than the NFL for some reason. They love the storyline. They love the idea. Anytime a rookie quarterback begins the season looking okay, he's anointed as the next great player. We saw it with Mac Jones. Mac Jones had a good rookie season. Everyone anointed him the next Tom Brady. Takes a long time, guys. Takes about 20 games, I think, until we know what a rookie quarterback's going to look like. It takes a couple seasons. CJ Stroud is on this no interception streak. You know, he's throwing the ball around really well. I think the Texans are improved. I think they're way better than last year, but I just don't think they're as good as people think they are. Conversely, I think the Saints are way better than people think they are. Let's think about the Saints. Let's think about this objectively. The Saints play Tennessee, good defense. Derek Carr's first game, no Alvin Kamara, obviously some rust, fine. Second game, okay, the Saints go on the road to Carolina, take care of business, but still, no Alvin Kamara, whatever. Then Green Bay. Derek Carr gets hurt. Green Bay's a good defense on the road. Team was in shock in the second half. Sure. Tampa Bay, Carr is nowhere near 100%. Alvin Kamara's first game back. Then, finally, last week, Kamara's second game, Carr's a little bit healthier, and we see what happened. Now, this week, Carr's probably 100%. Kamara is fully knocked off any rust he probably had. Everyone's healthy. This is the best Saints version of the whole season. This right now is the team that we talked about all offseason that could win the NFC. This is the team that I said could win 12, 13 games. So it's that perfect storm of Houston might be overvalued and the Saints might be undervalued. I'll tell you another one. Next week, the look-ahead line for the Saints and Jaguars. We're going to bring Vegas into this. The Saints are a pick-em against Jacksonville, which means Jacksonville is a little bit better in Vegas's eyes. A little bit better than the Saints. So that tells me that if that's the case, if the Saints and Jags are a step ahead, the Saints got to be way better than Houston. Because I would consider Jacksonville way better than Houston. So I love the setup for the Saints. I think CJ Stroud throws his first interception against this defense. It's the toughest defense Stroud has seen. It's going to be a wake-up call.
A fun team and competitive. I think the CJ Stroud in Houston's passing offense against the Saints defense, which looks overall pretty good this year. This is going to be a nice matchup.
Yeah, should be. It's a good test for this Houston offense that's working very well. CJ Stroud is playing extremely well. PFF Bobby is dialing up some great plays. The combination of both of them, like San Francisco, appears to be more potent potentially than the sum of its parts. It's working really well. I looked, when was it, the other day, the top 3 PFF grades on third and fourth down. It's Mahomes, I forget who the other quarterback was, but number 3 is CJ Stroud. Stafford, yeah. Stafford, Mahomes, and CJ Stroud.
I have another stat for you.
What's that?
Stroud's been good. I don't want to get that misconstrued. I don't think anything. Like, I don't think Stroud is bad. I just don't think he's the quarterback that's not going to throw an interception. I don't think he is a top 5 quarterback. Like the statistics are telling you he's top 10 quarterback. I don't think he is. I think he's good. He's the best of the rookie quarterbacks. Carolina wishes they had a redo, but I don't think he's there yet. If that makes sense. So I do like CJ Stroud. I do like what Houston's doing. I like D'Amico Ryans for sure. Everything's cool. I like Damian Pierce, but it's a team. It's a perfect situation for a team that's overvalued in the market.
That I put out there yesterday. We call it first read, which might be a little misleading, but basically the first look of the quarterback. The way we like to chart this is, where is the quarterback looking at the top of his drop, which side of the field, and does he make a throw to that side of the field? Right? It's not perfect, but it's informative. Is there something to the front side of the field? So there's slant, flat. You throw slant or flat, it's first, right? There's something in that first read that you're throwing. Yards per attempt in the NFL. You got Brock Purdy at 10.2 yards per attempt on those first looks. Tua at 10 yards per attempt on first look. So you got Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, I was just about to say, he kind of beat me to it. That's a great example of a good offensive coordinator. A good offensive coordinator is going to get that first look as your successful look. That is calling the game. That is calling plays, proactively calling plays to be successful. That's not just calling plays to call plays. That's saying, okay, I know what the defense is going to do. I'm proactively calling this play. The first read is going to be open. And it is not a coincidence that the best offensive coordinators are the one with success. He mentioned Matt Stafford earlier. Sean McVay's an offensive genius. So it's absolutely correlated to how good the offensive coaches are, how good the scheme is, and how successful quarterbacks are on third down, and how successful they are in their first reads.
Sixth on the list is CJ Stroud at 8.7. So, 3 out of the top 6 are all guys coming from the Shanahan tree, including Bobby as a play caller. Jared Goff's also third on the list. Ben Johnson. So it's like all the play callers and offensive coordinators that we compliment all the time with our eye test. We see it in this particular stat, which I think is informative, right? Wherever you're looking at the top of your drop, there's something there, right? And we're not separating full field from pre-snap reads or whatever. It's just it's actually an objective data point. You can figure out whatever you want from it. But I think that's informative as well. CJ Stroud running the offense really well. And
yeah, I agree. And I think that is obviously a big part of the success. But that's also why I like the Saints. I think Dennis Allen and the Saints defense is going to stop that. I think Dennis Allen and the Saints defense are going to be problematic for what CJ Stroud wants to do. That's the biggest matchup, I think. The biggest disadvantage the Texans have and the biggest advantage the Saints have in this matchup is the fact that CJ Stroud wants to run a simplified, quick offense. Makes sense. He's a rookie quarterback. Makes total sense. The Saints are going to stop that. The Saints are probably the best. They are the best defense he will have faced. And the Saints defense is also one that will get after the quarterback and one with very good defensive backs. So if you try and play the kind of offense Stroud is going to want to play, the Saints are the perfect defense to stop that. And the perfect defense to throw those curveballs and throw the wrinkles into what he wants to do. And then the question is, do you trust the rookie quarterback to adjust? Can he adjust to that? I'm betting no.
Their receivers and play caller giving them options.
One thing I think that needs to be talked about a bit more with this Houston team is how good the offensive line has been this season, despite not being 100% healthy. Now, I think you're seeing a couple of things. Number one, it's not the same offensive line as it was a year ago. Like, they've had some turnover just in terms of personnel. So it's not just the same group playing better.
Usually first read offenses too take a lot of pressure off of the offensive line because the play happens so quick. So usually when you have an offense like that, the ball's coming out so fast that the offensive line doesn't have to hold its shape, not like a holding penalty. It doesn't have to hold its shape for very long. offenses with deep route trees, where there's a lot of progression, obviously the pocket has to hold for longer. So offenses like this can make a bad offensive line look good. Tom Brady made bad offensive lines work his entire career because how quickly he got rid of the ball. That's why Tom Brady didn't take sacks. Tom Brady didn't take sacks. The offensive line held up because he was getting rid of the ball immediately. Tony Romo, same thing.
Number two, though, the incumbents, the holdovers from a year ago, are playing better, and in that scheme, the Shanahan scheme that helps offensive line. Like we've said this over and over and over again. That scheme isn't just quarterback friendly. It isn't just receiver friendly, run game friendly. It's offensive line friendly. So the PFF Bobby impact isn't just going to CJ Stroud. It's going to that offensive line as well. Yep. And through 5 games, the Houston Texans rank number 6 in pass blocking efficiency. They've given up 46 pressures, but they've also dropped back way more than most teams.
They may say it, but I guarantee you they're like CJ Stroud's release time is probably top 10. I would say he's getting the ball out without even looking at it. I would say he's probably getting the ball out in the top 10 of speed in the NFL, because that lines up with exactly what he's talking about. It also lines up the domino effect that I'm talking about. Okay, Marshawn Lattimore, let's just say, takes away CJ Stroud's first read. What's that make? What happens then? Stroud has to progress across his read. He has to progress across the receivers. What does that do? It makes the offensive line hold the pocket longer. That's something neither one of them are used to doing. Stroud's not used to progressing. The offensive line isn't used to holding that pocket. It's giving the Saints defensive line more opportunities to get to the quarterback. What does Stroud do with more pressure? How does he handle reading the field? How is he handle getting away from his first read? It's the perfect domino effect.
But number 6, up from, where were they last year? 25th. Like, it's a giant leap forward in terms of blocking, which is part of this CJ Stroud playing really well dynamic, right? Like, his grade under pressure is still terrible. It's just that he's not under pressure that much.
Well, there you go. I mean, rarely am I validated and proven right so quickly. There you go. Under pressure, he's not good, but he's never under pressure. Well, seems like if he's under pressure, you can expect him to do pretty poorly. The Saints are going to put him under pressure because the Saints are going to take away that first read. That's why he's going to throw a pick. I'm telling y'all, this is the game he throws his first pick. Everything lines up for it. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, look, around draft time, because a lot of people are like, why didn't you guys have Stroud number 1? I mean, rankings aside, when I described Stroud at the time, I said, of all the quarterbacks, if I knew he was going to be in an offense where he was going to get protected and he would have a decent receiving group, I like Stroud. And we'll go back and listen to the tape. I don't know if I said I'll take Stroud over Bryce Young in that particular situation or whatever it might be, but I said that's where I would want Stroud, because I think he can deliver on time and accurately. He does that really well, and he's doing that extremely well. The surprise for me is what you said, is that the pass blocking with all of their injuries has been that good. And then you have, a breakout season from Nico Collins, who looks just fantastic. I thought Robert Woods would be the guy that has that type of impact. Woods has been fine. He's a little banged up right now. But Woods, Tank Dell when he's not concussed, Nico Collins breaking out. You've been talking up these receivers all year. So it's a good group. Dalton Schultz as a complimentary tight end. It's a good group. They're playing good ball.
It's a good roster. It's a fine roster.
Like watching this Texans offense.
Yeah, I mean, look.
But it's going to be a challenge against the Saints.
Right. I didn't like Stroud coming out relative to most other people, but he was one of those players that I said right after the draft. You find our draft review shows, he couldn't have gone to a better team, right? It's the perfect fit for CJ Stroud, like the one offense where his strengths are going to get magnified, his weaknesses are going to get hidden a little bit. Right now,
I said Stroud was better than Young coming out. You can go back and look at the videos. I said there's no way you could draft Bryce Young first overall because of his size. No one in the NFL with his size, with his physical set, has ever succeeded. It's never happened. So, we made that case here. No shock to me that Bryce Young is struggling. No shock to me that Stroud is the best quarterback of the bunch.
Now, through the first 5 weeks of the season, he ranks 32nd out of 35 quarterbacks in terms of grade under pressure. His grade under pressure has been bad, which was the narrative coming out of college. 0 big-time throws, 4 turnover-worthy plays that have resulted in 0 turnovers, or 0 interceptions, rather. he's been bad under pressure, but they're not under pressure very much because the offense is
will be
functioning.
this week.
And he's got somewhere to go on third downs, on first downs. Like, everything is working well. So his strengths are being magnified. And his strengths were always good. Like, the good things were always fantastic. Nobody ever doubted that. And if that's able to continue against the Saints, this is a game they can win. Now, the challenge is the Saints DBs are physical, aggressive. They can test passes. They're going to make the picture more muddy for CJ Stroud, you would think, than most teams have been able to do. And that potentially starts to push him towards the areas where he doesn't necessarily excel.
Completely agree. I think it's maybe the biggest challenge of Stroud's career so far. Saints are...
This video could have been 40 seconds long. It could have been me coming on here saying what I thought, and then we could have skipped all this. Because these guys are just taking 6 minutes to say what I said. I mean, they better take the Saints. They better take the Saints. With how they're laying this out, to me, it is so obvious. I love the Saints this week. I love the Saints this week. I mean, this is a smash spot for the Saints.
Allowing only 37% of their 10-yard throws to be completed. So that's about half what the Broncos are allowing. 30, as for perspective, that's second best in the league. So it's going to be a bit more of a challenge. Derek Carr, 64 PFF grade right now. Better last week. Had his best game as a Saint last week. They had some big plays down the field. We'll see if they can continue that. They should have some opportunities again against Houston here. So where are you going for the Discord game of the week here? Saints favorite.
I think it makes total sense to like the Saints here and like the under. I think if you're going to try and, from a betting perspective, I think if you're looking at this game, how's it line up? The Saints should be better offensively. I think the Saints proved last week that they're kind of trying some new things. All of their weapons are as healthy as they've been all year. This is really the first week that we're getting a fully healthy, fully no-rust Saints offense. I mean, this is it. So this is the best version of the Saints coming off of a huge win, season-saving win, really. And you have on the other side the best possible defensive matchup, or the worst possible defensive matchup if you're CJ Stroud. So I think the Saints get theirs, and I think they limit Stroud. The only thing you got to worry about with unders is turnovers. If I'm projecting Stroud to turn the ball over, that does make me worry. But I think something like 24-13 makes perfect sense. I think the Saints probably get, the offense keeps rolling, doesn't roll as hard, or I guess there's not as many points because of the pick six and whatnot against New England. But I think 24-13, Texans may get a touchdown, kick a couple field goals. That all sounds pretty normal to me. So I'll say 24-13 Saints, which leads me to Saints in the under.
Favored by 1.5 in Houston.
I think I'm going to lean towards the Saints.
Yeah, I'm going to go Saints again as well. I like the Texans. They're fine.
Yeah,
but,
they're fine.
They're fine.
Saints are up to 3-2 now. They had a disappointing loss 2 weeks ago against the Bucs, but they've been very competitive. And again, I keep thinking that they're close. I know they scored 34 last week. A lot of that was because of incompetent offense from New England, but
100%.
Saints are close, even offensively here.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I mean, the Saints, I think this is the week. I think this is the week where we kind of shake off everything we've had early in the season. We shake off all the question marks. We shake off whatever that was hindering us. Like I said, there was a lot of variables. Every week it was an injury or a suspension or there was a lot happening. It's not the case anymore. And the coaches have kind of rose to the challenge. I'll say that. The coaches have seemingly heard the criticism. They've risen to the challenge. They're trying new things. And, sometimes, and I may be too close to the team, but I think last week was the biggest breath of fresh air for the Saints. I think finally now they can take that breath and say, okay, we met the criticism. Now we got a little bit more room to operate. A little bit more room here. I think the momentum is going to really carry. And I think we beat Jacksonville. I think the Saints are I explained this. I think Jacksonville is in a terrible spot. Spent 2 weeks in London. Come back, immediately play a division game. Don't get a bye week. All right, so the 2 weeks in London. Fly back. The flight's not that big of a deal. Body clock time change, for sure a big deal. Division game. They want to win. Then they go short rest on the road in the Dome on Thursday night. They're going to prioritize the Colts game. Saints lying in wait against a tired Jags team, unmotivated-ish. Saints will be highly motivated at home in the Dome, basically a homecoming, prime time. So if the Saints win those 2 games, we're looking at 5-2. And if we're 5-2, and one of the wins is Jacksonville, which was one of our games that we said was kind of a toss-up, we're right there again. The season is in front of us. It starts here. It starts with Houston. If we do what I say, and we have a good performance in Houston, and Carr looks better, the offense improves a little bit, we get that 24, we start rolling, we start stacking these points, and all of a sudden, we score 34, whatever. Next week we come back, we have a nice offensive performance, we get that 24, 28, 27, somewhere in there points. Okay, cool. Now we're closer to the average. 28 is the average. Now we're closer to the offensive average. That's where we need to be. And then we just get better. I want to see better from Carr. I want to see better from the offense. I said they had a C+, B- grade against New England. Okay, let's raise that up a little bit. So it's a great spot. Great spot for the Saints. I love the Saints this week. I mean, this is the most confident I have been in the Saints the entire season. Straight up. I wouldn't lie to y'all. This is the most confidence I have had in this team all year long. So there we go. I'm saying again, 24-13. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Saints, Texans, how is this going to play out? We will have review, recap, first reactions, all that stuff. We are the world first when it comes to reacting to the Saints games. Boom, it'll be right here. So after the Saints game, you know where to be on this channel. Immediately after, we're rocking and rolling. Thank you very, very much for watching. Go in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Give me a score prediction. I'll be down there reading. I always appreciate all of the comments. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Ladies and gentlemen, who dat?